Well, good morning, good evening, good night. It's Ryan here, 780 Speed and Custom. I appreciate you tuning in, as always, to the channel. Today I'm in the other shop. We're working on my 1940 Ford pickup, and I'm going to be installing my Holley Terminator X today. So I've already been underneath the truck. I've ripped out a lot of the old wiring. Obviously you saw in the last video with the truck, we pulled the old harness and ECU out. Basically I spent the last day and a half, 2 days, cleaning up the wiring harness, changing, just tidying things up. I had some electrical issues on the road, minor stuff that needed to be addressed I've dealt with, and now I can go ahead and start installing my new ECU. So let's get to it. So this is everything that comes in the kit. It's looks way more intimidating than it actually is, I assure you. Everything's nice and labeled, tells you what colors are what as far as loose wires are, where this all needs to go. Basically, I'm just going to lay this out on the truck, figure out where and how I'm going to mount everything, the ECU, whatnot, and see what I've got to modify to make this work. Okay, so I've basically got the engine dressed out, save for a few little issues that I've got. Now, keep in mind, this is not really Holley's fault, because basically nothing on this engine is dressed out how a typical naturally aspirated LS would dress out. With the supercharger on top, it moves the intake further over. So, well, I'll just show you what I've got going on here anyway. So, I'll show you what I've got going on here. Normally, without the supercharger, your intake's obviously in the center. This moves it off to the right-hand side. And in doing so, or because of that, my idle air control and my throttle position are not long enough, so I've got to extend those by probably 4 or 5 inches. The manifold air temperature, that is a sensor that you would normally just put in. That doesn't come with factory, so mine is actually in here. I'm going to cut probably a foot out of this harness. Cam position. Now, this one kind of bothers me a little bit because the factory harness would run along the side of the motor or on the front and come up from underneath. It looks like they want you to drape this one down from the top to get up into that sensor. Well, that just isn't going to happen in my engine. I've got Corvette accessories in the front, so there's no room behind the water pump. Obviously, can't run it in front. So I'm going to have to add a few feet to this one so I can loop it around, down, and up. Other than that, the only issue comes with my knock sensors. I wanted to utilize the same hole that I already had in the firewall, so I had to pull more harness through to the right-hand side so I could get to that bank, which made it so that this knock sensor is not going to be long enough. But that's fine. I'll extend that one, and then everything else should dress out fine. Manifold air pressure is at the back here as well. Managed to get that hooked up. I guess my only other complaints about the Holley harness is there's no connection. This is a 4-pin alternator. There's no connection for that, so I've got to wire in a resistor to excite the alternator, so it's separate from the Holley system. And the oil pressure, I'm not too happy with either because, well, no fault of theirs, but you've got your oil pressure sensor here. I'm not even watching the camera. Oil pressure right here. I have the same connection that I want to hook in for oil pressure for my gauges. Well, I'm going to have to put a splitter in there for that to make my gauge work and still so I can record the PID, but minor details. I thought it was going to be worse when I started dressing this thing out. Nothing was going to line up properly, but it actually turned out not too bad. So just a few wires to modify and the engine side of the harness will be in. Then I'll show you what I've got going on the inside. Okay, so on the inside, all I've got done so far is I have the wires run through, kind of just laid out loosely on the floor. It's pretty tight under the dash, so I really only have a couple of options as far as where I can mount the ECU. I'm thinking either in the kick panel or under the glove box. So I'm leaning towards under the glove box is going to give me the most room and work the best for laying out the harness. Other than that, I've just got some wires to tidy up underneath. I've got my mega fuses set up. I'm going to run everything through a relay instead of running big 2-aught to the back for my kill switch. Be much safer. Hopefully works. Fingers crossed. So I'm just about done wiring that. But yeah, I'll get to making that mount, and then I can worry about the rest of this wiring. And yeah, it'll be just dealing with the loose ends. We should be able to test it. So here I've done a little bit of AutoCAD work, or not AutoCAD, but manual CAD, cardboard assisted design for a new glove box. I'm going to mount the ECU to the bottom of that, so the connections are towards the firewall, and will be all protected underneath this. These are just different mounting points, and these are going to be the sides, obviously. Just rough mounting points here and here. It's not going to be that tall, but yeah. So then I've just traced out appropriate size square on some aluminum. I'll cut that out, and then I'll transfer that shape to here. Get all the corners tigged up, and I'll have a new glove box. It's a little bit messy, but I just cut it with a jig. Drilled my holes out, so I'm just going to make a bend here, 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 and here. These lips will get welded together here and here. Those 4 holes are for my ECU. This mounts it to the dash, and this mounts it to the side of the dash. So we get that bent up, and fingers crossed, hopefully it fits. Well, there's the finished product. Some awful TIG welds if I've ever seen them, but I'm still learning. Give me a break. So I'll take this over and get it mounted in the truck. So there I've mounted the ECU. Should keep the rain out of the connections. I mean, when it rains outside the 40, it rains inside the 40, so it is a concern for sure, but that'll at least give it some protection. Oh, it just mounts in there like that. Got the ECU bolted to the bottom, so it's tucked away and secure. So yeah, give me a little bit more tray space anyway, but should work just fine. No more than just enough room. Not a whole lot of room under the dash of these 40s, that's for sure. Well, it's a new day. I've just about got the wiring buttoned up. I fixed all of my issues underneath the truck that I wanted to fix. I redid my kill switch at the back, so it's all legal as far as NHRA is concerned, and it's safe now, whereas it wasn't before. I'm basically done under the hood. Everything's tidied up, wired in. As far as that's concerned, I just need to zip tie a few things out of the way and tighten everything down. And yeah, other than that, I got a present today. Had my axle show up from Quick Performance. So that's exciting. Get that opened up. And there you go, old versus the new. I'm quite impressed with the quality of that. Nice little Quick Performance logo there on the end. Even comes with a new seal. Look at that. So on the inside here, all I've got left to do is tie up. There's 8 loose wires that I've got to wire in yet. Tie up those 3 harnesses and plug them into the ECU. Then I can hook up my CAN connection and load in my tune. And test my kill switch and see if this thing will work. See if all the wiring I did is correct and I don't let the smoke out of anything, but only one way to find out. Okay, so that has it. I've tied it up the wires on the inside. I rewired the entire truck underneath. I did a lot of work over the last couple of weeks actually on this truck. But the Holley system is now installed. I've uploaded my bass tune that I made into the ECU. I did a TPS auto set. The only things I haven't tied in yet, I haven't wired in a switch for the electric fans, and I still don't have a VSS output, but I should be able to program both those in, I hope. And yeah, other than that, I'm ready to test it. So fingers crossed, hopefully this thing fires up. Okay, so obviously that's not working. I'm gonna have to retrace my steps. Obviously I've got something wrong in the software, so I'll run through the computer, check and make sure I haven't missed anything, and we'll go from there. Okay, well, I think I've got it figured out now. I do believe I had the wrong parameters set for my crank or cam position sensor. So I'm going to try it again here, and I think it's going to work this time. So, fingers crossed, anyway. Okay, I think I have the wiring probably wrong on my cam position sensor, so I've got to redo that. Alright, so this will be my third attempt at a first start, but I'm confident this time. I had to switch a couple of wires around on the cam position sensor, so the little 24x 1x video I watched from Holly and made myself, I think it might not have been correct. If this starts, then it's misinformation. So, fingers crossed. Help if I hit the master too. I think she's gonna go. Maybe. Just a little bit of surge. Come on. on the gas to keep it alive. I'm sure this computer will sort it out though. That has me fired up. 40's running again. I don't want to run it too long at the moment because I still don't have my fans, electric fans wired in, which is a big one obviously, and I got to wire in the vehicle speed sensor, minor details. But when I get those two things wired in, I'm going to take this thing out on the road, get it all tuned in, get the tune dialed in, and we'll be ready for racing. So I can't be happier with that. This is just awesome. Cloud 9 right now.